Hi, this is my 33rd video. Just first of all, I want to thank anybody who's been watching my video. I hope my videos are um, relatable, and I hope that it provides some kind of information or even validate some of what's happening to you. As you can see, I'm still hiding my identity, and that's because I am still functioning in the society. I'm still, I have a job. And even though I know they're partaking in my targeting, um, I just want to make sure that I don't make it easy for them to, and use that to use against me, use my videos to use against me, as I know that targeting this fashion, the way I'm targeting, is to make me see as a um, schizophrenic. That's because the tactics that are used are meant to look and make the target individual look like he has some kind of mental issues, and I'm aware of that. So, with that being said, when I create those videos, I don't want that to be used against me. I'm not ashamed, but I just also don't want this video to be used to discredit me in a certain fashion, and you know what I mean. But I still want to continue to make my videos and give you an update. And I always appreciate any comments. If you want to let me know something, some information about what's going on with you, feel free to leave a comment. If I don't, if I'm not interacting too much on YouTube, it's because I know this, as our targeting is based to discredit people. There's a lot of people on YouTube to also troll, trying to break you down in a way, since that's the goal of this program. So today, I want to make videos when I have something to say um, that's informative in some sort, or something that I learned to me, and I want to share that in regard of my targeting. This is based on my experience. I keep mentioning in a lot of my videos, I am not an expert in this. The only reason I talk about it is because it's happening to me, and I had to educate myself, because before finding out about this and how common it was, I really thought this was just happening to me, the typical story. I tried to reach out to people, I tried to write letters to newspapers and things like that. Didn't know there was a name to it. So, I thought I was just the only one, and, I thought it was something else, but just find out that this is such a common thing, and done to all kind of people all around the world, national, international, all genders, all age groups, and done in very similar fashion. Some of exactly the same, some is just specific ways of targeting. But um, today in this video, I just want to talk about, now that I've been informed a little more educated. I've I've been able to analyze what's happening to me in a different way. Things are making a lot more sense, and I'm making this video so that maybe somebody who's starting or who's having this experience, but is not sure, or she's not sure, what's going on. If I knew what I knew now early on, I think things would not been, I would have uh, handled it better. Thankfully, nothing really bad. I mean, besides my targeting, I didn't go, I didn't lose it. But if I knew what I know now, things makes more sense. I get it better, and I get it now. I understand why it's happening in that fashion. So what I'm speaking specifically is how those mental games. I always did. The hardest thing here for me, the gangstalking is one thing. The gaslighting is one thing. the job mobbing is one thing, but the V2K will always is the hardest, obviously because it's something so foreign. One, to even explain, to even accept that it's happening. Even if it's happening to you, it takes a while to accept that this is really happening, and this is not you losing your mind, or just you know and trust me, the you know the people involved in your targeting, and while you are dealing with those this tool, this weapon that mangle your mind, they ensure that you know that this is not you being crazy. It's just they want you to know that you are being targeted this way. So yeah, once I accepted this, it's still hard to even accept that yes, there's such tools that can destroy your mind, the way of thinking, and stimulate so many things in your brain and control the way you perceive, you think, and a lot more in your brain. And then you will start accepting that this is obviously something bigger. Although I was put on this program by my old employer, I understand that it's bigger. I understand that, unfortunately, I'm just a subject, a database, and there's many more just like me that have been on this program for random reasons. But I know who put me, at least. That's the good thing about me is good thing about this targeting for me. I guess it's not even a good thing. At least I know who put me, on this, and and I know some don't know, some were more random. But so today I just want to talk about V2K and the manipulation of my thought process. Um, in my targeting, when it comes to the state of mind and my thought process, it's been very disturbing things going on in my head. I keep mentioning it, and I keep dropping some hint of what kind of disturbing thoughts this been implanted, and how my thought pattern has been changed to think in a very disturbing way. That's very degrading, especially sexually. And I've talked about it so many times. But now that I've been more educated, I've heard so many other testimonies, and I've done a little bit more research, and I mean a lot more research. The tactic of them manipulating my thought process, I understand better how things are done. So one thing I just want to talk about today is about the depatterning, is the deconstructing of your thinking process while you're dealing with V2K or synthetic telepathy. I'm going to just call it V2K, but I know there's a difference between V2K and synthetic telepathy, at least of what I understand. For example, V2K is more of somebody hearing certain voices that appear that are very close to you, but it could be somebody from across the building, could be somebody from the basement. And this synthetic telepathy, where it's more of the manipulation of your thought process. And so I think those two. I'm just going to use V2K just to take just to use for both. So deconstructing of your thought pattern, I looked into it, and I just realized that's what was happening to me, the patterning of my thinking process. So when when I'm in my room, which is most of the time, and I'm in a relaxing state of mind, um, there is always some disturbing thought that comes into my thinking process. These intrusive thoughts, very disturbing, and it's meant to just kind of disgust me in certain way. And then this when the deconstructing of my thinking process starts, but the depatterning of my thinking process. There's a narrative, as I said many times, that's been implanted in my thinking process, and a disturbing narrative that I'm supposed to somehow accept. Um, I still haven't submitted to the PS. It's, it's very obvious that it's not true. But when you somewhat isolated or by yourself, and it's you'll be amazed how much you can be. I won't say brainwashed, but you can make yourself. When you don't have any positive feedback that and then you are isolated, it's easy for someone to slowly change you. Isolation is dangerous in this case. But that's why I'm in that state. And that's when they usually try to deconstruct my thinking process or go ahead and just um, start the deconstruction of my thinking process. So what happened is they throw these disturbing thoughts, very the narrative very disgusting. As I mentioned before, they mess with my perceptions, they mess with my libido, they can stimulate me sexually whenever. But they do that for a purpose to create this false persona. So my libido is stimulated as when they want it. They can turn it on and off and stimulate me sexually and create a perception in my mind. I can see something and turn into something much more vulgar. So they have that much control. And with that being said, they also have a persona. So to have the ability to manipulate all those things and they have this persona, they try to to connect those things together so they can match this false persona they try to overlay in me. And then for me to start almost accepting that false persona, they start doing the deconstructing of my thinking process, the depatterning of the thinking process. And how they do that is, like I mentioned, the first step is putting that disturbing thoughts, and then somehow there's two portion. There's one portion of the V2K where they provide me that my thought is influenced to think rational about it, to say that obviously that's not true, right? And this is all mental dialogue to say that this is not true, and obviously still is not true. But what happened is while they're doing that, they start censoring this thinking process that is a rational way to think. And then the second step is like they start piecing things together, create this false narrative by selecting certain things in my memories, and trying to put it together in a way that try to rationalize this disturbing way of thinking, and also add in a lot of nasty things. So first step is like they block out this rational way of thinking, which is obviously this is it's some disturbing thing. And then the second is like piece together things, include a lot of nasty things in my head, and then create false narrative, false perceptions, and override that constructed thoughts into the irrational thought. And then you find yourself not be able to think rational anymore, where you understand that okay, this is they try to overlay these thoughts, and it's obviously bullshit. Um, and to agitate you, as I kept mentioning, that's when the perps do the noise campaign and start saying things that are very, um, you know, that will agitate anybody. They say disgusting things, um, and then there's like slamming the doors. There's coughing. There's all kind of noises that can just agitate me in some ways. And also, they say you're gonna get raped or something. Something very disturbing that really It doesn't frighten me. It's just more I know you're just trying to say things that are threatening, so I can just can you know can can be more agitated. So they have this creative false narrative that picks on little things here and there that add a nasty twist to it, that adds nasty disturbing things. They override that. They create that those construction narrative and override the rational with this composed uh, thought process. And then they create those noise campaign to add agitation while they do that. It's beyond, it's so systematic and it's done in a very, and obviously this is not a, this program has been around forever, and it's obvious that this is something that's been constructed many times on others. Definitely not the first, and definitely not the last, but now I understand that that's why this is happening. It's like you almost have like a, regard the V2K, there's like a, a portion of that that's like meant to just rush, like bring this rational way of thinking, whereas like, obviously, something we're trying to mess with you, and then there's another portion that comes in, it's like, but look at this and that, and basically it's like almost like a good and bad cop situation. It's weird, but the good cop, and I'm talking about in the V2K sense, it's almost like it's saying that the right things that needs to be said, if that makes sense, to later on block those thoughts. It's like, and then you cannot go back to thinking in a rational way. And this other side is taking over, your actual thought process. And then on top of that, the perps are there to agitate you, so and make you feel ashamed for this constructed false perception, narratives, disturbing way of seeing things. And the stimulations that come with it, and the sexual stimulations that comes with it are even worse. And then the intrusive thoughts that are involved in it, the disturbing sexualized aspect of it is all, and then trying to go into something when you're a child, and then trying, it's such a construction of it, of this false reality. But that construction takes over your rational way of thinking. And then externally, I'm talking about perps, I'm talking about neighbors, I'm talking about roommates, whatnot. They try to shame you for that construction, which they know, obviously they're all very aware how things are done. And then now you feel almost, it's not you, at this point I don't naturally, I don't, if they try to make you shameful, that, so that all adds more, that enforces this construction of thinking, um, and really makes it stick even more. So now that I understand that, I can remember when I was just almost try to fight back, and this all happened in your head. Instead of just ignoring it, move on with your day, accept that this all BS, and this back and forth, this seesaw is happening in in your thinking process. It's so insane. In those dialogue that you have internally is meant to just depattern you, deconstruct you, break who you are, and create this false persona in you. Um, and now that I know, it's just it's like I spent so much time trying to reset my thinking process, not knowing that it was just that thinking process of me is being literally being erased, being blocked out, being censored, so that this new thinking process comes in and takes over, and I can just the I I accept it. So I can accept it, I can submit to it, which is not happening. I still those thinking process, they're still coming in my head. They're disturbing. They make it hard for me to function properly. But in the regard of me accepting it, it's not happening. And I know the threatening. When the V2K, when I hear those threats, and it's also meant for me to break and think, oh my God, yes, this is something bad. I shouldn't. It's really not. It's not working. They're gonna say some disturbing thing, and I know there's more vulnerable people that they threat, and I can imagine how that how bad that can be. Saying those disturbing things in somebody who's vulnerable. It might be a single mother. It could be a young person. It could be a woman. Not to say that all women are vulnerable, but I'm just saying that some people are easier targets, and hearing those things could be demoralizing, to say the least. It'd be scary. It'd be very scary. And I'm with you guys. Be strong. It's just understand that they're trying to break you, and threats and saying those disturbing things, putting you down, is part of the deconstructing. Um, and for me, today I just realized that as they were going through the typical things, and they went back in the ways they used to do it before I was aware of how things, before I knew about target individuals. So I was deciding to make a video now that I can understand better how it works. Not to say I'm an expert. I just, as it progressed, as I evolve in my knowledge, um, the the better I understand what happens, and I see how systematic it is, how programmed it is, and how everybody is aware of how it works. That's another thing here. It's just no matter how they look, no matter how young they look, you think maybe they really believe this truth, but the more I realize, it's just like they are so much aware. They're very much aware of how this works. Do they still accept this false? Do they still delude themselves? Most likely, yes, they still delude themselves, although they know that it is a way to break somebody and to construct this false persona in that person. I don't even want to speak about the specifics in regard how they try to deconstruct this false narrative. It's just even speaking out loud, it would be almost embarrassing. And it's also, it's just so it's so idiotic that it will only work if somebody is isolated, does not have any positive feedback, and is only bombarded by this negative feedback. That I gotta, I just need to accept that this is going to be continuously done for the purpose of breaking and creating this disgusting, disturbing way of thinking, of creating this persona within me. And the more I feed into that, the more they can they can deconstruct me, they can break me down to rebuild me in a different way. And this is strictly thinking process. And you just have to be aware. There's nothing you can do in regard of what they put in, but it's just at least know that that's how it's happening. Regardless of the repetitive things they said, which is another way of brainwashing. That's kind of like old-fashioned brainwash somebody, just like continue saying something over and over when you sleep, when you wake up. This repetition is torture, but also helps with the brainwashing and deconstructing of somebody, because somebody says something so many times, you know, if I say, let's just say that, let's just say you're 6 foot tall, right? And I say every day you're 5'2", you're 5'2", you're 5'2", 5'2" for years, you're 5'2", you're 5'2", you're 5'2", And then first thing when somebody asks you how tall you are, after 3 years of somebody saying you're 5'2", you're 5'2", you're 5'2", you could say, oh, I'm 5'2", when you know you're actually 6 foot tall. That's basically the same concept here. They see the disturbing things over, so that one day, like that's if your first thought comes that way, it's basically brainwashing you, deconstructing you, and breaking and building you in a different way. And that's my experience. Um, it's degrading, try to break my self-esteem, try to keep me down. That happens the most when, let's just say, I get out of that train of thoughts, maybe when I'm having good moments, when I feel good in a sense, I feel confident or something. That's when they make sure I get back in line and start uh, they start degrading me in different ways. So just to wrap this video was just to talk about deconstructing, depatterning, which is the way to break you so they can rebuild your way of thinking. They break you in the way you think to rebuild you in the way they want you to think of yourself. And they construct a whole different disturbing, disgusting thing and implant that into your actual thinking process. So your rationale is overridden by this constructed thought process. So I just I hope that my video helps you, and I'm glad that I got to this point where I can be able to express myself and understand what's happening. And thank to some information to what I heard and the testimonies. Um, and yes, so guys, stay strong. I know there's a lot of you who are dealing with the same breakdowns, saying the most disturbing things. I know they go for some of the most vulnerable people, and people that you think that are there to protect you or that will be on your side are doing that to you. But that's the goal. They want to break you, and the best way to break you is usually using people that you think that they will be on your side. It's part of the deconstruction, the patterning, the brainwashing. And because at the end of the day, they want you to harm yourself or to lose your self-esteem, and they'll do a lot of nasty, disturbing things. So, uh, to all my target individuals, stay strong-minded, um, because they are breaking you down in every ways. Doesn't have to be V2K, the gaslighting itself, the gangstalking, the mobbing, all of that is meant to break you. So find yourself a way to stay strong-minded and remind yourself who you are. This false persona they try to overlay are just ways to break you and create this false person in you. So stay strong, don't harm yourself, and remember justice will be done. These people will be compared to parasites. So however they try to make you feel, however they try to make themselves feel, some of them are not have any control in their own life and like that sense of power, or they like whatever benefits that comes with it, maybe financial, or just enjoy taking advantage of this technology that somewhat amazing, because controlling somebody's thinking process and emotions is something that can make somebody feel empowered especially when you don't have that much in your life. So, um, be strong, guys, and don't worry about the agitation they're trying to create in you, the noise campaigns, and know that they are just low lives. They are just parasites that have accepted to do some disturbing things um, for whatever benefits they think that they're gonna get, but justice will be done one way or another. So stay strong, guys. Thank you for listening.